안녕하세요 여러분, 엠쌤입니다. And today I want to talk about something that we've actually covered in my previous K-pop lyrics breakdown video, one of the previous ones. And it's actually a relatively easy concept, but I realized that I never made a weekly Korean video about it, so I'm going to change that. And we will be talking about myeon and some variations of it that don't actually mean the same thing. And as I was scripting this lesson, I actually realized that I'm going to be making a lot of comparisons to similar concepts and words in Korean that mean very similar things and showing you the little tiny contextual differences between them so that your vocabulary can grow and your fluency and understanding of Korean is hopefully going to improve as well. So, let's get started. First, let's talk about myeon. Directly translated, it can mean either if or when. And in English, these two words don't have much in common at all. Like, they're very distinct words with different meanings, but in Korean, there is this one word that can mean both of them depending on the context. I feel like a broken record having to repeat this every single weekly Korean episode that Korean is a contextual language, so most of the things that you're going to understand from sentences are going to come from the overall context of the conversation you're having, because you're not going to be throwing sentences out randomly without context. So, let's take a sentence. 집에 도착하면 저녁을 먹을 거예요. And for those of you who understood what this sentence means, we can translate it in two completely different ways. We can say, when I come back home, I will eat dinner. Or we can say, if I come back home, I will eat dinner. And the way you would understand it in Korean is unfortunately only from the context. So there's nothing I can help you here with except letting you know that that is the case. But sometimes there's going to be instances when you don't really need to know the context. And translating myeon as if or when is not going to make much difference. For example, if I want to tell someone 편의점에 가면 알려주세요. Let me know when or if you are going to the convenience store. You can also use myeon with past tense, emphasizing that you wish sort of something would happen. The closest way to translate it to English would be would have. So in a sentence like 내가 먹었으면 배고프지 않았을 거예요? The meaning would be if I would have eaten, I wouldn't have been hungry. So it's kind of an assumption, sort of, kind of, would have type of meaning. Now that we figure out myeon, let's move on to myeonso and how it's different to myeon and what other Korean words it is similar to. So myeonso means while or as, and I'm going to emphasize this a lot, that myeonso is used whenever two actions are happening simultaneously. Because Korean has other ways to say while or as something is happening, except they don't emphasize this idea that two things are happening at the same time. For example, Korean has this concept of 을 때, or Korean has a word 동안, which all technically directly translated mean while. So let's take three sentences that mean the same thing if directly translated and see what the tiny little contextual differences are. First one, 영화를 봤을 때 울었어요. Second one, 영화를 보면서 울었어요. Third one, 영화를 보는 동안 울었어요. All three sentences mean, while I watched a movie, I cried. However, when we're using the first one, 을 때, there's kind of this emphasis on the time frame. And it's a very straightforward of saying, when I was watching a movie, I was crying. It's kind of like they're not really related, but they kind of are. It's just very factual. With myeonso, as I said, there's an emphasis on things happening at the same time. So, as I was watching a movie, I was also crying. The watching and crying must have been happening at the same time if you're using myeonso. But then, if you're using 동안, even though it means while, a better translation in English would actually be throughout. So throughout the entire movie, I was crying. So these are the little ways you can differentiate between 을 때, myeonso, and 동안. Furthermore, you can also add myeonso to adjectives. And in this case, myeonso kind of starts to resemble 고, which means and. And the reason for that is when you're describing something with multiple adjectives, it's kind of like the action of being all those things is happening simultaneously. So that's why myeonso can be used. So once again, let's take two different sentences with pretty much the exact same meaning in English and see how they differ. First one, 그 영화가 웃기면서 흥미로워요. Second one, 그 영화가 웃기고 흥미로워요. So here, I either used myeonso or go. Technically, the meaning is the same, where this movie is funny and interesting. Both sentences mean that. However, if we're really going to get into the direct translating and things like that, the first sentence can be translated as this movie, comma, while being funny, comma, is also interesting. At the end of the day, use whichever one you feel more comfortable with. You are going to get your point across whichever one you use, so no worries. Also, you can add 면서 to 이다, and even though 이다 is a verb, in this case, the meaning of the sentence kind of turns into the one that we had with adjectives, where you're just listing two things. So if I want to say that my teacher is also my friend, I can say 그 사람은 제 선생님이면서 친구예요. That person is my teacher and a friend. But the important thing is that he is both a teacher and a friend at the same time. That's why we're using 면서. In addition to all that, there is actually an expression that you use both in English and in Korean that can use 면서. And we use that expression when we talk about something that we've been doing ever since we were little. So I grew up doing sports. I grew up singing. I grew up playing piano, whatever it is. So this phrase in Korean uses 면서, and the verb for grew up in Korean is 자랐다. So in my case, I can say 저는 노래하면서 자랐어요. I'm busy. I grew up singing, or I grew up while singing. Now moving on to 며, and a lot of foreigners who are studying Korean think that 며 is actually a shortened version of 면, because well, you just drop the ni in, but 며 is actually a shortened version of 면서. And technically it has all the properties of 면서. It can be used in all the same situations. However, I personally feel more comfortable and more natural using 면서 when it comes to describing things that are happening at the same time. 며 is more likely to be used whenever you are simply connecting two facts. And in my eyes, it is actually much closer to 고, which means and, than it is to 면서. But 며 can actually mean so as well. So the connection you're making is not just and, it's also so you're kind of connecting it even more, if that makes sense. So once again, let's look at two example sentences that technically mean the same thing, but there's a difference. First one, 그 사람이 런던에서 살면서 영국어 할 수 없어요. And the second one, 그 사람이 런던에서 살며 영국어 할 수 없어요. So both of these sentences mean this person, while living in London, doesn't speak English. However, the first sentence emphasizes the fact that it is happening simultaneously. He's living here and he doesn't know it. And to me, it can kind of sound a bit rude-ish. Like, not really rude, but it's kind of like, oh, while living in London, he doesn't even speak English. That kind of connotation, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's just the feeling that I'm getting from this type of sentence. But where we're using 며, it's simply just saying he's living in London and he doesn't really speak English. That's it. No simultaneous correlation, if that makes sense. Even if those things could be happening at the same time, that's not the emphasis. So yes, that is where I'm going to leave it for now. Of course, we can go further, we can get into more complicated things, but I believe in learning languages one step at a time. So that is it for today. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will see you all later this week. Bye. 안녕.